there's not going to be some magical pendulum swing. People who steal elections and believe they're on a mission from God will not go without a fight. There's not going to be some savior from the Democratic Party. The whole idea of putting our hopes and energies into leaders who tell us to seek common ground with fascists and religious fanatics is proving each day to be a disaster. It only serves to demobilize people. That which you will not resist and mobilize to stop, you will learn or you'll be forced to accept. There's no escaping it. The whole disastrous course of this Bush regime must be stopped, and we must take responsibility for doing it. November 2nd, it starts. We are not going to live in a world where women are reduced to incubators without birth control or abortion here and around the world. We're not going to live in a world where science is suppressed and lied about at great cost to the planet and future generations. We're not going to live in a world with a regime that openly tortures people and justifies it, where they round people up on the merest suspicion, hold them in detention, with refusing them lawyers, and deport them in the dead of the night. This is not the future that we will accept. We don't want a culture of bigotry, ignorance, greed, all of this that's being celebrated and glorified. We refuse to live this way. A whole different future is possible, and we're going to fight for that.
We're out here to mourn, but we're also here to demand that the government immediately provide aid and rescue and cease the repression, that they be held responsible for shooting to kill at people who are trying to survive, that we reject the media and the politicians' imagery of poor and oppressed people who are trying to survive. They are not animals, they are not criminals. This is a regime that is utterly illegitimate, that is morally bankrupt. We say the whole thing needs to be driven from power. November 2nd, we launch this movement nationwide. You're all invited and urged to take this up because the world truly cannot wait. New Orleans truly cannot wait. We must drive this regime from power.
The coffin is the lead. All the instruments will follow.
Continue this. And we must continue this. New Orleans demands that we continue this. New Orleans demands that we continue this.
We need to go to
Union Square.
Union Square.
Welcome back to Hannity and Combs. I'm Alan Combs. Coming up, have Republicans in Congress taken a hit for sticking up for Terry Schiavo? You'll hear from Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum. First joining us now is son Sarah Taylor, who traveled all the way to Florida to stand outside Terry's hospice. So, Sarah, tell us, why did you do this? What's going on here?
Well, I went down there because I really think that the federal government has no business being in such intimate details of someone's life and death. And it was one thing when forces, extreme forces like Randall Terry were down there, but it was another thing when the federal government, Congress, and the president get snapped back into session. I think what's going on in this country is a power grab by some religious extremists. I would call them Christian fascists.
Neither one of you have seen Terry Schiavo.
And I promise you, most of the protesters out front of that clinic, out front of the hospice, haven't either. They are being manipulated and lied to as well.
From nurses.
How about the 32 doctors who have filed affidavits, who only viewed her through a video?
Thank you, Peter. Tonight you made a good point. Thank you both very much for being with us. Telecom Senator Rick Santorum.
It's going to start. It's going to be on November 2nd. It's going to be the beginning, the first day in a whole movement. It'll be a day when history started to turn. People are going to walk out of school. They're going to take off of work. They're going to join at the town squares and city halls and set out from there, going through the streets saying, "Join us." The America that we once knew is never coming back. We're either going forward into Bush's future or a future that we fight for and forge ourselves. We'll gather up more who agree with us and shake those who don't agree with us and cause them to question, and a lot of them will join us, and we're going to have a big political battle for the future of this country and the world.
The battle over Terry Schiavo's fate compelled our next two guests to travel from New York to Pinellas Park, Florida.
Earlier we talked about communists. They're here. Samsara Taylor, Michael Schiavo supporter, and Deborah Sweet. Welcome to both of you.
Hi, good morning.
So why, as a communist, do you think it's good that Michael is supported?
Well, I think what's happening right now is that from the highest levels of government, Tom DeLay, George Bush, Bill Frist, they are using this case to make a big power grab towards theocracy in this country. It's a very dangerous precedent. The real engine behind this, the very big danger that motivated us to go down there, was the fact that Congress got snapped back into session to overrule the rule of law, the will of the people, science and reason, medical fact. This case has been manipulated.
I think that this is a larger political issue.
You don't think that anybody has compassion for a woman who is starving to death?
When Bush says culture of life, it's huge hypocrisy. And like Deborah said, if you're going to oppose stem cell research, which could help people who actually are disabled and could recover.
So if he was for stem cells, you would think it's okay for the president?
If he was for stem cell, if he was against killing 100,000 people in Iraq, it's hypocrisy for this man to talk about a culture of life.
How can the government, with a little luck, we'll all be communists and everything will be okay?
We've got to take a break.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Samsara Taylor.
People around the planet who hate what the Bush regime is doing, who think that Americans have lost their minds and to have gone along with this. They need to see that there's a force in this country, a movement of millions that's taking responsibility for the fight that's going to be entailed, not waiting for somebody to step in and do this for us, but taking responsibility to fight to derail the whole direction that the Bush regime is taking things, to force Bush himself to step down from office and to reverse the whole direction that his regime is taking society. We were having a funeral procession. Bus drivers were getting out of our way and honking in support. People were rolling down their windows and taking flyers and giving us a thumbs up. Everybody knows that what's happening in New Orleans is a crime.
The marchers were also protesting the war in Iraq and other Bush administration's policies.